Okay, as I said, my name is Phoebe Msonda from Zambia. I'm going to be your moderator today, and we have Mr. Solomon Kaiwa Mugambe. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing your name well. Mr. Solomon Kaiwa Mugambe, who's going to be our presenter today. So he's going to present on the theory of change. I'll give a full bio in a second, just seeing how many attendees are there. Hi, Abdul from Sierra Leone, Harriet from Uganda, welcome. Portia from Botswana, Lorraine from Zimbabwe, Judith from Ghana. Welcome everyone. So since we are 5 minutes in, I will just go through Mr. Solomon Kaiwa Mugambe's bio. Give me a minute. I don't want to butcher his bio, so I want to read it word for word. So give me a moment, please. Okay. It's taking forever to open. Okay. So while it's opening, still welcoming participants. Hi, Judith. Are you able to change your name, Judith? Your device is just showing your ID number. Okay. Okay. So Mr. Solomon Kaiwa is coming from Uganda, so I'll read his biography. So he's taking us in the theory of change. You all signed up for NGO, CBO. So Mr. Solomon is a co-founder and executive director of Wezesha Impact in Uganda. He's an African Visionary Fellow with Sego Family Foundation and Perinayo Fellow. He's a co-founder and executive director at Wezesha Impact, a social enterprise enabling youth to engage in productive employment. He completed a degree in social work and social administration, and he's currently undertaking a master's in rural development. He's got over 10 years experience working with both local and NGO agencies, having served in high-level positions in the field of skills development with Educate, USAID Feed the Future, and as a Ugandan youth advisor to Washington, DC, through the US mission in Uganda. Solomon has also been selected as board member and advisory committee member with institutions that include Como Learning Centers, UN, International Labour Organization, Youth Entrepreneurship Facility, and respectively. Solomon has co-founded other institutions like Ushindi Education Initiative, Little Dreamers Education Academy, and provided strategic guidance to support growth and expansion of many other impact organizations. He has in-depth understanding of both the challenges and opportunities facing youth, enabling them understanding their challenges around them and taking initiative to solve them through starting social enterprises. Solomon believes that every person has innate ability to make the change they want to see and make the world a better place. He's in the right place. Thank you, Mr. This is a great biography, and I think you are the right person for this job today. I think we are good to start. So welcome, Mr. Mugambe, to the webinar. Participants, please be as interactive as possible. Ask questions. I'm sure he welcomes questions even as he's going through the presentation. Yes, please. So over to you, Mr. Mugambe.
Thank you so much, Phoebe. I don't know whether I'm pronouncing your name right.
It's Phoebe.
Yes, Phoebe. Okay, great.
Yes.
Happy to be connecting with you all. I hope you can hear me clearly. Just want to do a quick check on the sound, whether you're able to hear me. Phoebe, are you able to hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. I'm able to hear you.
Okay, great. So thank you so much for the warm introduction, and thanks to the World's Mountain Initiative team for inviting me to share and I mean, have a discussion with everyone and with all the participants on this webinar today. It's such a great pleasure. I mean, I'm really excited. It's not my first time to be working with the World's Mountain Initiative. I first collaborated with World's Mountain Initiative a couple of years ago when there was kind of like a boot camp or something for the different participants of the World's Mountain Initiative programs. That was in Uganda. So it was exciting to really connect with a number of young people and also seeing the amazing work that they were doing. I must say that World's Mountain Initiative is doing a great job, and happy to see that they're nurturing leaders for Africa and leaders for across the whole world. So I'm honored to be sharing with all of you. This is going to be an interaction where I expect that we are able to learn something about the theory of change. It's something that's very interesting. The first time I heard about this word, theory of change, it seemed like, I mean, an ambiguous thing, an ambiguous and complex concept. But with time, I came to appreciate that this is something that's very simple and that anyone can do as they run the different projects or as they look to solve any challenges that could be in their communities or even in their personal lives. So a lot of times the M&E people or different people talk about theory of change and looks like, oh my God, this is a very big thing. It's a complex one. But I want to tell you today that we're going to try and make it very simple for all of us, and those as well understand that each of us can actually create one for our initiatives or for the problems that we want to solve in the different communities that we serve. So we are going to be, feel free to type in any chat in case something comes up or a comment, feel free to use the chat, but I'll straight away go into screen sharing. Okay. I hope people can see my screen. Phoebe, I am just checking with you, just so to make sure that people are able to see my screen. Yes,
yes,
Phoebe?
we can see your screen, Solomon.
Okay, great. So I'm going to really focus on a theory of change, and while interacting with the World's Mountain Initiative, contact Lisa, I mean, she really talked to me about us delivering a session around this. And there's going to be some activities that each of us will be required to do as part of this, this engagement. So please just keep attentive and listening, and feel free to share any comments or questions as we go through this. Okay, so, all right. So, like I shared earlier on, a theory of change is perceived to be complex. Most people will think that it's a very complex thing, but I would like to say that theories of change are actually simpler than you think. It's so much simple. It's very easy. Like it's something that each of us can do, that each of us has even practiced doing in our different engagements. It could be at our workplaces, it could be in our normal life, it could be maybe even as part of our professional practice. So even though people sometimes brand theory of change as something complex, it's actually something simple. And just to break it down even further, a theory of change is just a roadmap. It's a roadmap. So if you want to get somewhere, for example, if I'm in Uganda and I want to get to Rwanda, or I want to get to South Africa, I'll need a roadmap. How am I going to get to South Africa? I mean, Uganda is in the eastern part of Africa, and South Africa is in the southern part of Africa. So what do I need to go through? How is my map supposed to look like to move from Uganda to South Africa? So it is as simple as that, really a roadmap. And if you want to solve a challenge, what steps are you going to go through in order to solve a challenge that you're seeking to solve in your community or even in your personal life? And when you think about a theory of change, it's mainly centered around the questions of the how and why. So in other words, you're thinking about this problem and you're saying, okay, how am I going to solve this problem? And then you say that maybe I'm going to solve it this way. So why are you saying that that is the way that is going to solve that problem? So the how and the why questions take lead as we think about theories of change. And as you will see on my screen, we are describing it as a roadmap. So something that will show you a direction. Where are you going? Looking at your destination. How are you going to get to your destination? An engine of change. We can also look at it as an engine of change. So if you want to create this other change or change X, then, I mean, what is that engine going to look like? How are you going to move to ensure that you're able to create that change? Because for an effective theory of change, it has to be leading to a certain change. Like you see, they have two words in common, change. So there has to be a difference that you want to make or that you're working to create as you're creating a theory of change. And some people could also refer to it as a theory of action. So if you want to create change X, then what do you believe in as something or as the steps that you're going to take or the action that you're going to take in order to create this other change or in order to create change X? So the theory of action, what steps are you going to take? And then as you're talking about the steps, what assumptions are there? Like, why are you deciding those steps in order to create the change? And like I'd said earlier, the roadmap, engine of change, the theory of action. So these three concepts basically explain the bigger concept of a theory of change. And I would like all the participants to know that as you're thinking about this, please think about it in the simplest means possible. Whenever you make it complex, then it becomes very hard to be actualized. It becomes really hard to put into practice. But it's as simple as a roadmap, an engine of change, or theory of action. Moving on, the theory of change, it's basically an ongoing process of reflection to explore change and how it happens. Ongoing process of reflection to explore change and how it happens. So each of us probably wants to create change somewhere, somehow. It could be in your community. Maybe you want to make sure that children in your community have access to a quality education. And that's the change that you want to see. You have to explore, okay, you have to first of all reflect on that change. Basically what is being said here, an ongoing process of reflection to explore change, the change that you want to create and how it happens. So if you want children to access a quality education, how are you going to make that happen? Are you going, I mean, is the problem that there is no school in your community, so you want to construct a school, and maybe with the school set up, you also want to create a have the best teachers in your school. And maybe after you have the best teachers in your school, then you have a high quality curriculum implemented in your school. And maybe as part of the high quality curricula, you're also incorporating things to do with skills development, such that the child at the end of the day receives a holistic kind of education at your school. So those different steps, how are you going to ensure that you create that change of providing a quality education in your community, or the change where you want every child to access quality education? So that is the whole thing of the theory of change, an ongoing process. The reason we have the idea of an ongoing process of reflection is to bring out this whole issue of, the theory of change being a living theory. It's not cast in stone, because you might start executing your work, you might start executing your change, but then midway you realize that actually I had a wrong assumption. I assumed that if I construct a school and it's on village X, children will have access to this education. But along the way, I've learned that actually the school that I've set up is far away. So I need to provide transportation for the children to move from their homes to my school. So there's that ongoing process of reflection to explore that change and how it happens. And the reason the reflection has to continue is to ensure that you create an effective change. It's not like you assuming that you're creating change and you're actually not creating the change. And what that means in particular, context, sector, and or group of people. So again, the theory has to be in relation to the different contexts, the different sectors, or the different groups of people that you are working with. And it goes on to say that it's a process designed to depict how a complex change initiative will unfold over time. So if you're looking at creating this change of maybe providing a quality education, how is this complex change going to actually be enhanced or realized? How is it going to unfold over a period of time? So you have to be thinking about all those steps and know that, okay, this is what will be done from the start to the end in order to realize the change. And like I said earlier, it's you articulating the how and why. So as a participant on this call, key things you will need to note is that when you're thinking about the theory of change, you're also thinking more about the how and the why. So articulation of how and why a given set of interventions will lead to a specific change. So if you're going to do X to create change, why are you actually choosing X and not Y? So it's you trying to understand that logic of the how and why. So if you're taking action A, why are you taking action A and not action B? Why are you building a school and not providing learning materials to children in their homes? Why are you hiring very good teachers and not providing transportation for kids to go to the school? So why are you choosing an intervention over the other? So that is the continuous questioning that has to happen as we think about the theory of change. And many times we'll need to also think about this as, as this whole idea of the if this, then this. So if I do this, then this will be the result. If I wake up early, then I'll get to my class on time. If I wake up if I don't watch Netflix or videos up to late at night, then I will wake up early. Yeah. If I don't take coffee, then I will not. Then I will be able to have a good sleep, because then I won't lose sleep at night. So if this, then this. When it comes to issues of development programs, if, for example, youth don't have jobs, and then I decide and say that if I train the youth in entrepreneurship, then they will learn the skill of business creation or business startup, and they will be able to create their own businesses. So it is that logic of the if this, then what? Okay, I will just checking in the chat before I continue. Okay, great presentation so far from Potier. So my question is, if let's say I want to change my career, maybe from being an engineer to being a lawyer, does it also account for theory of change? This means I have to come up with the how and why. I mean, like I said, the theory of change can be applied in all sorts of things. It's not only, I mean, it's not that the theory of change can only be applied to work or to projects or to, I mean, complex issues alone. It can also be applied to our daily life. And your question actually leads us to something very interesting. Okay. Something very interesting. So when we think about the theory of change, you might be asking yourself, why the theory of change? Like, why do you need it even? Key thing is that it will help you to be so thoughtful. Before you make a decision on maybe an intervention, before you make a decision on an activity that you're supposed to do, you have to take time to think about it. If I'm creating this activity for maybe to solve the issue of education in my community, or the issue of lack of water in my community, and I want to create clean water in my community, what do I need to do? I mean, are there sources of clean water in my community that maybe that these are not well maintained, and I don't need to just come up with a whole new source of clean water, but maybe I need to maintain the existing sources. So the theory of change will get you to be more thoughtful. Before you design an intervention, before you design an activity, you're able to think through and say, okay, if I do this, then what? Yeah. And that will guide you to be able to get the right actions for the right solutions or the right change that you want to create. And then it gets you to be deliberate. Because then if you're deliberate, then you're addressing the real challenge and not addressing symptoms. All of us know that if you want to create change, you want to be able to understand the real problem, and so that way you're able to address it clearly. Because if you address the symptoms, then you're probably not addressing the real challenge or the root causes of the problem. So it gets you to be deliberate. And finally, it's effective. I mean, it helps you to be effective in your intervention. And because you've put in too much thought, you're deliberate, you're trying to understand the real situation, then the next thing that will happen will be that you will have a lot of effectiveness in your intervention. So yes, the theory of change is perceived to be complex, but it's not a complex thing. It's really you thinking about the if this, then this. If this, then this. Yeah. Then if you're saying that you're addressing a challenge, how am I addressing the challenge? And then why am I considering that intervention to be the solution to this change or this problem that I want to address? or to be the idea for creating the change that I want to see. And we're going to do a quick activity. Okay, this is the same question. I was checking the Q&A. I would like us to, as we move forward on this, like I said, the theory of change may not only apply for big projects or programming work, but could also be applied in our lives. So I would like each of us to get into visualization mode or reflection mode and start imagining that the problem you have is that you're chronically late for work. Like every day, you're late for your work. And maybe you've even received warning letters, or maybe your boss is almost getting you away from your job because you're chronically late for work. And because of that, your goal is to get to work on time. Your goal is to make sure that if your reporting time at work is 8 a.m., then you're always at your workplace. So our goal is to make sure that we are on time. So your goal is to make sure that you're on time at work. You get there on time. But the problem is that you're chronically late for work. You're always late for work. And I would like to note that the theory of change will look at the solutions, interventions, and these must match the root causes of the problem. So in this reflection, I would like each of us to think through, if your goal is to make sure that you get to work on time because you're always chronically late for work. So then what would be your interventions or what would be your solutions that will help you address the problems? In fact, you can also write down some of the problems. What could those problems be that arise that probably lead you to getting to work late, and what solutions would you have? I'd like each of us to take just 5 minutes to reflect, and as you reflect, please write down your reflections. Write down what those underlying problems could be and what you would do to get to work on time. Just 5 minutes. Just do a quick reflection and and like what could be the challenge? What could be the challenges? And what would you do to make sure that you achieve your goal of getting to work on time? Please write in your notebook somewhere. Just note that. Okay, you have only 2 minutes. And if you're done, you can just go ahead and type in the chat. You just type and put what problems lie between the chronically late and what could have caused that, and then what solutions do you think you will undertake to address the different problems that you will have highlighted? Somebody's asking, where do we do the write-up? So I believe that each of you probably has a notebook somewhere. You can just write in your notebook, and then after, you can just type a few problems and then some solutions, what you do to make sure that you achieve your goal of getting to work on time. Okay, so 5 minutes are up, and I expect that we can get some chats now. In the chats, let's type some chats. Okay, so Grace, Molly Grace is saying that one of the challenges could be waking up late. So the solution would be setting an alarm. Great. So the question would be, why do you wake up late? So what is like what leads you to waking up late? Because like I said, the solutions and interventions must match the root causes of the problems. So maybe you wake up late because you spend a lot of time. You eat your dinner at like 10 p.m. and then you sleep at like midnight. Maureen says that the problem is staying in different city where I work. So in other words, you're staying far away from your workplace. And then solution is that I move to stay within the city where I work. Yeah, so maybe the actual root cause of the problem is that you're staying far away, and it's not about you sleeping late, but it's just that you stay so far away that if you're to get to work on time, you need to wake up by 2 a.m. and get on the train or the bus by like 5 a.m., which is usually a challenge, and maybe it's not safe in your community. Then there's there's a question here from somebody. It says, hi, I noticed your hand is up. Do you have a question? Okay, doctor was up. Doctor's question was up.
Oh, sorry, that was me. I was asking Anis if I've noticed the hand up for a while. I was wondering if that's a question or a comment.
Okay, great. Okay, and then I see there's Clifton who is saying that maybe the solution is change of attitudes towards work. So the challenge being maybe this person has a poor attitude towards work, and every day they are trying to wake up to go to work. They just feel like they don't want to wake up, and they need to change their attitude to be more positive about work. And then from Olive says transportation problem, like traffic solution, leaving the house much earlier to bypass the traffic. Yeah. Okay, that's great. Maybe the root cause is the traffic. But then there's a problem before that. If there's traffic, yes, then if you worked backwards, what is the underlying problem even before the traffic? Because if you know that there's traffic, then maybe there could be something that you would do. Sleep late, Maria is saying, sleep late and wake up late. You could plan what time to sleep and what time to wake up. Traffic, leave house with more time. Don't plan the activities before. So in other words, somebody doesn't plan the activities before. For example, time to wake up, what to do before leaving. The solution could be prepare everything we need for the next day and plan what to do and how long it takes. So basically you having a schedule, because sometimes people wake up early, but they have a lot of things to do. They have to prepare their children, take them to school. They have to prepare for their, to take care of the home and make sure the home is neat. They have to do some house chores. And maybe that can't easily be done between that 1 hour when you wake up and the time you're supposed to set off. So you end up being late. Not making a plan before I sleep. So solution is to plan my whole day. Time to sleep and time to wake up according my activity plan for the next day. Yes, you're right. So it could be like you need to plan it out, make a plan before you sleep. Sometimes people sleep and they even don't know what they're going to put on the next day. So they haven't ironed it, they haven't prepared it. Now they have to wake up, plan it out, and then prepare it. I don't want to say that wash and make sure it dries up that morning. Yeah, but just that preparation. And then there's reporting late for the problem. Abdul is saying that reporting late for work due to traffic congestion in the city. My proposed plan to address this is leave early for work and sometimes walk to work. Yeah. And yeah, thanks everyone for your input. And I really like the submissions that you have all shared. And as you think about a theory of change, it's basically you trying to think about all these different things. All like if your goal is to get to work on time, and the problem you're addressing is being chronically late for work, what could be the underlying challenges? Yeah, like here we are saying that theory of change, you're looking at solutions/interventions. So you're looking at things like, okay, waking up late, having a clear schedule before you sleep, setting up an alarm, but this must match the root causes of the problems. So for example, if you're saying you're setting up an alarm, yes, you're setting up an alarm, you're setting an alarm, but remember that the root cause is probably you sleeping or going to bed at 2 a.m. and you want to wake up at 5 a.m. So the alarm may actually go off, but you may not even wake up because the truth is you went to bed so late that you can't even wake up on time. So you understanding the intervention and understanding and making sure that the intervention or the solution you're setting up is actually addressing the root cause of the problem. Okay, so moving on. Here we have an interesting theory of change, an example of a theory of change related to what we just discussed. And again, solutions/interventions must match the root causes of the problems. So you'll see that here we have the problem, I'm always late to work. The causes could be the traffic. The causes to the traffic is because I probably live the house late. And because I leave late, I get to find the traffic. And maybe I also wake up late. And because I wake up late, I leave the house late, and then I find the traffic, and then I get late to work. Oh, on the other side, I can't decide what to wear in the morning. I mean, most times people just can't decide what to wear in the morning. They go to their closet and find these so many nice clothes, and they're trying to choose, okay, should I wear this brown shoe, this gray shoe, or this black shoes, or should I put on this jacket or that? And they just can't decide. And that takes you about 30 minutes before you even make a decision. So maybe that gets you to leave the house late. And when you think about the root causes, for example, you say, oh, actually, I wake up late because I go to bed late. But why do I go to bed late? Because I stay up late watching Netflix. And these are the root causes.
Sorry, Solomon. Yes. Someone is saying they can't see the things on the screen are not legible. Please zoom them in.
Okay. All right. Are they able to see them now? Are you, kindly type and let me know whether you're able to see them now. I just increased the size. Oh, much better, great. Thank you, Phoebe, for the response. I add a little bit. Okay. Unfortunately, maybe technology, I'm unable to add a little bit. Sorry, okay. Okay. Let's try to see what I can do. And sorry for that. Wow. Unfortunately, I can't get it bigger than that. Okay, I'll do. Okay, I'm trying to. This is a phone. Okay, it's now better. Great. So there could be challenges or underlying root causes that are actually getting you face this problem that you're facing. And this same reflection is what we have to be thinking about as we are designing our theories of change for our interventions to address the problems in our community. So it is us really taking time to think through the root causes and then the possible causes of the root causes, and then us being able to know and design interventions that are addressing the causes to the root causes. So on the side, you will see the theory of change. So we have, get to work on time. So that's the goal. And then you say you take a different route to work. So if there's traffic, then maybe you need to think about taking a different route to work. And then about the issue of leaving the house late, you need to make a decision and leave the house earlier. And then in order to address these issues of waking up late, you need to wake up early. And then if you say you can't decide what to wear in the morning, you need to prepare an outfit the night before. So you don't have to be making a decision in the morning on what to wear. If it's about going to bed late, then you need to go to bed earlier. And if you're watching Netflix for a long time, then you need to really address your schedule. So maybe you stop watching Netflix, or you watch Netflix and watch for only 30 minutes so you can get to bed earlier. So that's how the whole concept of theory of change works. You're looking at, yes, the problem, and looking at the causes to the problem, but then also the root causes, because the root causes would also have causes that are leading to the problem. And as you're designing the change, the theory of change, or the roadmap to change, you're looking at each problem and providing a solution or an intervention to that problem. I saw that there are people who are having their hands raised. Phoebe, if you can maybe have them share any of their questions, if they have any questions.
Okay. Yusta, I'm allowing you to talk if you have questions. Yusta, do you have a question you want to ask Solomon? Your hand is raised. Anis too.
I think Yusta is on, has
yes.
the microphone on mute.
Oh, I think she accidentally raised her hand. She said, no, sorry.
Oh, okay. There's a question in the chat, in the Q&A. It says, how do you deal with instances of fatigue and overworking? Now, again, when you are developing a theory of change, you're looking at, okay, if it's an issue of fatigue and overworking, then maybe you need to sit with your supervisor and think about revising your workload, or maybe you're being too ambitious when you're setting up your monthly goals. And on the theory of change for the solutions or intervention side, maybe a solution is to say, is to reduce the monthly targets, for example, or set smarter goals. Because usually if you don't have the smart goals, the goals are not realistic, then you're probably not able to achieve them in that day or month or year. So how about if you have a solution? I mean, the intervention is for you to set more realistic goals to address the challenge. So again, when you think about the theory of change, you think about the problem side, the causes to the root causes, and the root causes themselves, and then designing solutions or interventions that address, that are in alignment. For example, you see the bigger problem here, or is late to work, and the solution is get to work on time. The causes, you're addressing the causes and making sure that you're addressing each of the causes and each of the root causes. So the intervention designed is helping to address each of the root causes and each of the causes, and eventually addressing the problem. Okay. Does any other person have a question before we continue? Okay, probably not. So we'll move and we'll move on. Okay, I will. Okay. So Alexander raised his hand. I don't know whether there's a.
I'm sorry, please.
I have allowed him to. Oh, sorry.
Yes, this is Alexander Osei from Ghana, and I would like to ask whether theory of change is always accompanied with cost.
Okay, thank you, Alexander. When you design a theory of change, definitely there are things to do with it. You're looking at solutions or interventions. And after you've designed the solutions, you will also have to get into a situation where you are now talking about how much will it cost me to actually be able to implement this intervention. Sorry, just trying to plug in for power. So just, you will always have to, I mean, the theory of change will also have some connection with the cost, because the intervention you design will definitely have a cost implication. And definitely after you design your theory of change, then the next levels will also be costing and budgeting. And again, that will also be in line with your interventions. There'll be a cost to it. Okay. So I beg to move forward. I don't know why. I'll stop screen sharing for now and just. Okay, I will. Okay, sorry, I'm trying to resize my screen to back to normal, such that it's able to go back to just having some tech issues. Okay, sorry for that, just a minute. Okay, great.
Hi, everyone. Let's give Solomon a few minutes. We seem to have lost him. We are trying to get him back. Yeah, in the meantime, maybe we could also engage in the chat if we have questions, comments, and yeah, while we're waiting for him. Any questions or comments? While everyone is coming up with questions and comments, a reminder on the mission statements webinar that happened on Monday, the combination on the business and NGO one. Nicole had written out on the Facebook page. So if you haven't responded to that, please do that. And if you have further questions on that, that will be a good time to also ask. Then we can direct those questions to either the presenter or Nicole. I hope you can hear me. I feel like I am I am speaking to myself. Can you all hear me? Ah, thank you, Mala. Thank you. Any comments on today's webinar? Thank you, Olive. Thank you, Leah. Very loudly so. Is that a good thing, Clifton, that you hear? I'm too loud. Okay, so Alexander says, takeaways, the theory of change focuses on answering why and how. Thank you for that, Alexander. Any other comments? Ah, there he is, he's back.
Okay, Phoebe, so sorry I went off. I think it's, my battery went off, but also I had just some tech issues.
Okay, yeah, okay to go on now?
Yes, perfect. Happy
All right,
to
thank
go.
you. Okay, thank you.
I'll go ahead and screen share. Okay, so, okay. So I would like to get us to do just a simple exercise, to have each of us do a simple exercise. And it's just an activity about theory of change. And I would like each of us to take a few sticky notes and maybe have your pen. Take out a few sticky notes, maybe a few papers, if you don't have access to sticky notes, and then have your pen. So what we are going to do, you're going to note down a major problem that you could be working to address in your community, for example. Maybe you're undertaking a community project, and there is a major problem that you're seeking to address. And as you note down the problem, you're also going to note, as you note down the major problem, you're also going to note the contributing problems as separate statements. You remember how we talked about the issue of maybe the traffic jam, but maybe the contributing problem is that you go late to bed, you sleep late. And then maybe the contributing problem is that you sleep late because you take a long time watching Netflix. So the major problem, and then the contributing problems as separate statements. And you're going to just write this simply on a sticky note or on a piece of paper in that order. So the major problem, and then that major problem, then you're thinking, okay, what could be the other contributing problems that are beneath the major problem? Then step number 3, you're going to order them following the logic. So if the problem is watching Netflix and watching Netflix for many hours, then it means that I'll sleep late. Then because you sleep late, then you're finding traffic jam, and then you are getting late to work. So in that, you're going to arrange them in that logic. So if this, then this. And here you're looking at a major problem. It would be great to look at a problem that you're trying to address in the community, or that you see in the community, or for a project that you're trying to run in your community. And then step number 4, you're going to write down corresponding solutions on separate sticky notes or separate pieces of paper and still order them in that fashion. So for example, if the problem at the bottom is you watching Netflix, then what could be the solution? What could you do differently? And if the problem above watching Netflix is sleeping late, then what solution would you have for that challenge? Then if the problem then above is traffic, then what would you have as a solution for that traffic problem? So we are going to order these things in that order, and we are starting with the problems, and then we are creating the solutions as well. And so does the order of your solution statements match your problem statement? So we are also trying to match the solution to the problems as well. And then we are going to share. We'll have a few people. We shall select a few people to share, and then we take it on from there. So I would like to give us maybe 6 minutes to do this, and then we can take it on from there. And Phoebe, I don't know how much time we have, just from.
We have about 25 minutes.
Okay, great.
That is for, yes, for the webinar to conclude.
Great, thank you. So we'll take 6 to 7 minutes to do this. Please, each of you just do this practice, and it's going to help us. And make sure that whatever you're writing down is very simple. Don't write complex things, simple things, simple. So I hope you're writing down. Just reflect, make sure it's simple. Make sure it's all simple. Just write just one problem and then the contributing problems. So we have a few minutes to go. So right now you should be writing down like the corresponding solutions. Corresponding solutions. So you should be finalizing the solutions, and after that, the next question is trying to order them and just make sure that your solutions actually match with the problem. And if they don't match, then you probably need to rewrite, to write another solution or revisit the problem. Because there has to be a flaw in the logic. Okay, we'll have 3 minutes to go, 3 more minutes to go. We have like a minute. So at this time, kindly go ahead and, just share in the chat, or if anyone wants to share, you can, by talking, like you can raise your hand and Phoebe will give you the access to be able to share, openly share with us. Does anyone want to share with us? You can type in the chat, but also you can raise your hand and just speak to all of us and share with all of us. Does anyone want to share with us? Does anyone want to share with us? Please feel free to share with us. Just raise your hand and then go ahead, or you can type in the chat. So Clifton wants to share with us. Maybe Phoebe, maybe we can get him to speak.
Clifton, I've allowed you to speak.
Just needs to unmute. Okay.
Hello, are you getting me?
Yes.
Okay, so the major problem that I have taken note, just for those listening to me, I'm from Zambia. So the major problem that I have quickly thought needs addressing in my community is actually the increased case of gun violence. Increased cases of gun violence.
It's increased cases of what?
Gun violence.
Okay.
Yeah. Then the contributing problems to that, I feel there are no strong policies that are there that try to control the owning of small arms. Then there's also no proper sensitization or even training of the people that buy guns. They just get them because I have money, and they're not really trained on how to use them. And then the other problem that contributes to this, it's actually proliferation of small arms, which are actually unregulated. The suggested solutions that I would want to, if given an opportunity to embark on a project, is to actually, first of all, to review the already existing Gun Act, and then alongside it also try to formulate policies that actually control.
So as you share, kindly share the solutions as well in line with the logic of the problem side.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So the major problem, I've talked about increased gun violence, and then a contributing factor, lack of stringent gun policies or policy. So in order to respond to these problems, the first thing that needs to be done, it's actually review of the Gun Act so that it is made more stiffer than it is. And then the second contributing problem is lack of sensitization. So what should happen then is sensitization or training of the people that own guns on how to handle a gun and how to keep them safe. And then the third is actually proliferation of small arms. What would be the solution is to actually engage government on the control of small arms. So that's how far I have gone. I don't know if I've missed a step.
what did you say? So what is the solution to the gun violence, the increased gun violence? What's the appropriate
yeah,
solution?
This one I missed it. This one, thanks for that. I missed this one. I think I went to I actually responded to 3 contributing problems. I left out the major problem. So in response to this major problem, the solution would be community sensitization on the importance of actually reporting the cases to the relevant law enforcement agencies so that they can then follow up on these people that threaten others with guns.
Okay, great. So thank you so much, Clifton. I don't know whether this allows, but maybe this. But I wanted to ask people to send you emojis of thank you, flowers, and hand claps, but maybe it's not possible. But thank you so much for sharing. This is very good. I like the way you have laid out the different problems, following the logic, and as well coming up with appropriate solutions. I think that the solutions are really clearly aligned with the problems. The only thing that you had missed out is again on the higher level, the bigger problem, where you're saying the gun violence, increased gun violence. And I think solution would be reducing the gun violence. And at the end of it all, what we want to see is making sure that there's a reduced gun violence, there's more peace and safety in the community or in Zambia. I'm happy that you talked about Zambia. I've been to Zambia to a place called Kafue. I think yes, Kafue. Okay. But I'm really excited. So thank you so much, Clifton, for sharing. There's some chats here. Yes, people have sent you some reactions. Great, thank you.
Molly Grace also raised her hand. Do you still want to speak, Molly Grace?
Great, let's have them speak. Molly Grace. Oh, she doesn't want to speak. Does any other person want to share with us in just a minute? Anybody wants to share with us? Okay. Just an opportunity to one person. Alexandra, you participated in the first session. Would you like to share if you're still there? Yes, Alexander has the hand up. Should be if you can. Yes.
Okay, sir. Actually, I tried to write something down. I would like to give it out so that if there be some corrections, I could be corrected. With much humility, could I proceed?
Please proceed.
Good. I realized that the problem in my community is poor performance in terms of education.
What's the problem again?
Like students performing poorly, very poor in examination.
Yeah. Okay.
Good. And I realized that the cause of this, like the contributing factor or the major problem is concerning forced supervision, motivation, assistance, like provision of classes and those stuff to students, and then also lack of
Sorry,
monitoring.
I think you're fading away a bit.
Yes,
Say
hello.
poor student performance is the problem, and then what's the underlying problem?
Yeah, that is the problem, but I'm talking about things that are facilitating, things that are leading to that
Yes.
poor performance. Please, am I in line?
Yes, we are hearing you. Kindly go ahead.
Okay. Good. So I was talking about that's lack of supervision, lack of monitoring, and then for assistance to students, and then lack of motivation.
Okay.
Then the lack of supervision, I was talking about to reinforce the arms of the community leaders to be able to supervise and also monitor students in the community.
Okay.
Then the motivation, that one, the problem itself, I said that there's lack of motivation from the parents, because some of the parents don't see the essence of going to school, and sometimes too, they don't motivate their children also to go to school. So I saw it to be a need that the parents have to motivate their children. They have to give them some encouragement that will help them to go to school and also to study.
Okay, great. What
Good.
other solutions?
You said? Okay. And then the assistance, I also realized that the assistance, some of the institutions do not provide proper assistance, especially when it comes to the developing countries, most especially in the government institutions or government educational sectors. You realize that some of the teachers, when they go to school, they will be sitting under the trees. The work that they are supposed to do, they don't do them. And also the community, when students close from school, they don't actually get people in the community who assist them to also learn in the house on their own. When they are being given assignment and those things, they find it very difficult to do them on their own, since most of their parents are not educated. So
the solution
would be provision of assistance, like establishment of a committee that will be in charge of providing assistance to the students when they close from school, and then they will be in charge to monitor the teachers.
Okay, and how about the issue of monitoring? What solution do you have?
The issue of monitoring?
Yes, because you said one of the problems is the lack of monitoring. What solution do you have?
Okay. The monitoring, I was talking about reinforcing the arms of the community-based leaders.
Okay.
So that, yes, please, because some of the communities, you will see something like jackpot, you see something like TV games, you see something like theaters and those things. So the community leaders' arms will be enforced so that they can monitor all such places and then set some time that when this time reaches, we don't want to see students outside. We want to see students in their various houses.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Alexander. So for those of you that are listening to what has been presented, you realize that there's that logical flow. The problem from the problem at the top up to the last problem. and then also coming up with the solutions, again, starting from the change you want to see to addressing all these different problems with the different solutions. So that is how we can develop a theory of change. And as I conclude, I would like to mention that a good theory of change in place, I mean, we always have to ensure that we have a good theory of change in place that is plausible, feasible, and testable. We are better able to not only articulate what we think success will look like, but how we'll track this over time. So how we'll know if we are on track over time. So that is very, very important. And we will have a theory around what the project is supposed to look like. I mean, a strategy to accomplish it, and plan to know if our intervention is working as the project goes on. So if you have a theory of change, you're able to know, is the project going the right direction? Is the work that I'm doing going the right direction? Am I addressing the actual problem? Are my solutions actually creating the change, or are they going to create the change that I want to see at the end? So I would like to encourage all of us to share, to openly, I mean, share with somebody at home. Talk to them about your theory of change, what you think would be the problems, the solutions to the different challenges, and that will be creating your theory of change. Lisa and the team from World's Mountain will share with you quickly, we'll share with you the theory of change for Zesha Impact. So each of you can look at it and see the logic that it follows. So at the end of the day, that can also act as a tool to guide you as you develop your own theory of change, either to address a personal issue or to address a community problem that you're trying to work against, or that you're trying to address in your community. I want to thank you. Thank you, Phoebe, for the time, and thanks to the World's Mountain Initiative team and all the participants. God bless you.